Hi, I'm Ray.
And I'm Saren.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks. Enjoy the show!
This episode of Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you are listening to Vacation the Lunatic Sidekicks podcast.
Yeah, whatever. Ben Reilly, Spider-Man's clone. He's the guy. He's got a sweatshirt. Yeah, that's how you know he's different. And he's a blonde hair.
Hello and welcome back to, well, it's the end of the month. You know what's coming. Lilith Hellfire's favorite sausage fest. It's the Scarlet Pimps. That's right. It's me, Phil. It's Boston's favorite, well, soon-to-be father. It is Matt.
This is Matt. Hi, I'm going to be a dad. Hi, what's up, everyone?
Yeah.
It's not a clone.
I was going to say, that other he's already a father. The Australian pimp himself, it is.
Hey everyone, it's Ray. I just want to say I love sausage, so...
It's breakfast time. There's a lot of people eating sausage right now. It's breakfast time in America at the time of this recording. So.
Is it continental breakfast?
Yeah.
Thanks, Ray. Now, I know we'll be getting messages from Lilith. Cut that out. That Ray saying I like sausage.
Now, Australia is both a country and a continent. So do you call it country breakfast or continental breakfast?
Oh, actually, country breakfast sounds better. It sounds like, very English.
Right. Bangers and mash.
Bangers and mash.
Doesn't matter. It's Australia. It's all, all the sausage is kangaroo, so.
Drop bears.
Drop bears. You got to be careful, my God. Sausage.
All right, the two issues we're covering today, not big Ben Reilly issues, but I thought they were pretty big in the Clone Saga, so we should cover these. Yeah.
Hey Phil, just before we get into this quickly, so apparently there's an appearance of the Scarlet Spider in new comics recently.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me, Ray. Yes, there was one that came out this month. It was at Iron Man 6, and last month, yes, Iron Man put together a little quick team of Misty Knight and the Gargoyle, and Ben Reilly, our boy the Scarlet Spider, is on this team. So,
yeah. Check it out.
Thank you for reminding me. So, yes, modern appearance of the Scarlet Spider, kids.
Not as confusing.
Yeah. Less supersized.
It's like, okay, here's Spider-Man's clone. Here we go. But, did anybody read that yet?
No.
No, sorry.
I love how Ray's like, hey, there's an appearance. Did you read it? No.
Yeah. Well, I did my homework. That's about it.
I mean, it's pretty good, but it's like a secondary plot, so he's not doing a ton. But yeah, I mean, it's still nice to see him. That they haven't completely forgotten the character. Although, I mean, every once in a while he's been making appearances. He made an appearance in what was that? There was a Conan miniseries. Was it Battle for the Serpent Crown?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he did he? Wow.
In one issue, yeah. He was in Vegas, yeah.
Does he still have a million souls within him? How in Damnation, how he had all that something going on. He's been killed hundreds of times.
Oh yeah, because when the Jackal brought him back, he kept killing him off and resurrecting him and stuff. So it was making him a little crazy. But I don't know. The last couple of appearances, they haven't gotten a lot into what's going on with him. But I think they've kind of stabilized him.
Okay.
In the last, what was it, Spider-Geddon? I think they're oh yeah, he's normal now. After all the Peter David stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Then they haven't really gotten into him except that it's here's the Scarlet Spider. All right. So should we get to these issues?
Sure.
All right.
Let's do it.
Did anyone get the hollow disc on their issues?
No.
No.
I love. So did anybody read this on Marvel Unlimited? Because I love on the cover of this web of Spider-Man. It's 3D holo cover, but meanwhile they don't have a picture of the actual holo disc on there.
Yeah, that's where I'm reading it.
Yeah. I mean, because they had a regular newsstand version, which is what I have, and there was no holo disc on it, but it didn't say anything about a holo disc. So
the holo disc is that issue worth trillions now? Or?
Yes, because it was a rarity in the 90s, right?
Exactly.
Well, here I got a synopsis for this first one. Yeah, Web of Spider-Man 125 kids.
Yeah, they're oversized issues.
Yeah, both oversized. Both, because they're divisible by 5, as Will says.
Does Lilith like oversized issues as well?
I believe so.
Because I know Lilith likes it long.
I don't know. I think up at the end of April, she might need to read a longer Moon Knight issue. All right. So yes, June 1995. Feel old yet, guys? So writer, our buddy Terry Cavanaugh. Penciler, Steve Butler. Inker, Randy Emberlin. Colorist, Kevin Tinsley. Letterer, Steve Dutro. Janice Chang. And Janice Chang. Editor, Eric Fine and Danny Fingeroff. All right, so this one, Lives Unlived. Sounds like a soap opera. Having switched places with Ben Reilly, Peter Parker has taken up the guise of the Scarlet Spider in the hopes of clearing himself of murder charges. Deciding to start at the beginning, Spider-Man breaks into the Daily Bugle to check its morgue files. He starts by researching Miles Warren. At first, he only finds reports about Miles Warren's time at Empire State University before he was pushed over the edge by the death of Gwen Stacy, where she was pushed over the edge.
Oh.
That's when he comes across a listing of a Miles Warren living in that hive of scum and villainy, New Jersey. Shockingly, this man...
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, New Jersey.
Also, I just want to say that Gwen Stefani joke being the first one you made today, that's one way to make a big splash, Phil. So good work.
Did you just say Gwen Stefani?
Sorry, Gwen Stacy. It's 7:45 a.m. Sorry.
I like that.
Me trying to shoehorn my joke about your joke. I just could not nail this.
I like that better, Gwen Stefani.
I'm still walking under spider webs right now, so I'm clearing them. I'm trying to clear them.
Oh my god!
Spider webs. Oh wow! Didn't even connections.
Oh my god! I want that now. Gwen Stefani playing Gwen Stacy.
She would make a good. Both blondes,
Yeah,
striking
both blondes.
Beauties. Yeah.
He comes across in New Jersey. Shockingly, this man, the spitting image of the man who was the Jackal, made the news when he got eloped. This marriage happened during a period in which the Jackal was regenerating his body. Yeah, I remember when he was watching the Playboy channel. Suddenly, seriously, that's what he said. Suddenly, Peter's spider sense goes off, warning him that someone is coming, and he leaps out a nearby window. He narrowly avoids being seen by a young man who has come looking for his uncle, and they don't reveal this at the time, but he's looking for his uncle, reporter Ben Urich, to borrow some money.
Yo, Unc. You ever call your uncles Unc?
No.
No, me neither.
Give me.
Meanwhile, at Rikers Island, Ben Reilly sits in his cell thinking about how his return to New York has upended the life of Peter Parker and his wife, Mary Jane. He is also upset that he couldn't be present when Aunt May died recently. Despite this, he feels that this prison cell is where he belongs, thinking that swapping places with Peter was the right thing to do, as Parker has friends and family on the outside that are relying on him. By this time, Spider-Man has ridden atop a train to the town of Ridgefield Valley in New Jersey. There he swings across this suburban town to the address that is registered in the name of Miles Warren. Not trusting the harmless-looking suburban home, he creates a web cushion on the roof of the garage, only to discover that it has been electrified. That seemed weird to me. And it's like, no one's like questioning like all these like burnt dead squirrels or what, birds that hit that rooftop. Unless it's like pressure sensitive for like human weight or something. But I'm just like, how many like dead animals are in the area?
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah. TV antenna repair guys,
Pulling off a window with a line of webbing, Spider-Man leaps into the garage and discovers a sophisticated laboratory. Deciding to take a closer look inside, Spider-Man breaks into the house and looks around. He discovers nothing more sinister than the trappings of a suburban couple. As he gazes at a wedding photo that depicts Miles Warren getting married to Gwen Stacy, I almost said Stefani, the webs for the wall spider sense begins going off. When he turns around, he sees a woman who is the spitting image of Gwen Stacy standing in the doorway, armed with a broom. Get it, to kill a spider. When Peter pulls off his mask, Gwen becomes furious and tries to attack him. As Peter leaps out of the way, he is zapped with a taser by a man who looks exactly like Miles Warren. Gwen tells her husband, calling him Warren, that this is the man who has haunted her nightmares. While back in New York, Felicia Hardy visits Mary Jane. There she learns that Mary Jane is pregnant, all about Peter's clone, and how Ben Reilly switched places with Peter in prison so Parker could clear his name. This all goes a long way to explain why Peter didn't recognize Felicia when she visited him in prison. See last episode. Mm-hmm. Mary Jane also expresses her concerns that Peter's radioactive blood may have an effect on her unborn child and how she has been under the care of Seward Trainer to discover this. After telling Felicia all of this, Felicia realizes that Mary Jane wants to talk this out with her husband and agrees to go out looking for him. Quickly changing into the Black Cat, Felicia swings off, assuring Mary Jane that she always gets her man.
That's a cool splash page, though.
When she jumps off the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, she has an innie belly button.
Yeah.
Because, I don't say tight 90s costumes, but...
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Back in New Jersey, Peter Parker wakes up to discover that the home he invaded is now deserted and wonders where the occupants were at. At that moment, the couple who look like Miles Warren and Gwen Stacy flee from their home. Warren assures his wife that while he has a right to protect his family, he did not kill the intruder. Gwen understands, considering the tragedy that Warren had suffered in the past. Warren thinks back to the past about his first wife, Monica, how they were in love and had 2 children together, and how he was in advertising under the name Chandler Bing. However, Warren's obsession with his work led him to neglect his family to the point where Monica and her children had left. Sadly, tragedy struck, and Monica and the children soon died in a car accident before Warren had a chance to reconcile with them. And we'll get more into that coming up in a few months in Scarlet Spider Unlimited #1. He then lives a solitary life as a teacher until the fateful day that he first laid eyes on the young woman who would eventually become his wife. At that moment, Spider-Man is looking around the Miles home and is astonished to discover that these clones had established a normal life for themselves. While the Miles are headed toward New York, Gwen tells her husband not to close up on her. She reminds him how he was there for her after her father had died and how their relationship blossomed into that love. She felt so powerless at times. Like when the woman called Dreamweaver convinced her that she was a woman named Joyce Delaney. Did everyone understand that?
She was the Dreamweaver song. Not really.
It kind of get the gist of some convolutedness happening.
During the Evolutionary War, that went through like the annuals. I forget how long before this. I think it was the Spectacular Spider-Man one. I think the High Evolutionary or somebody told Peter, it's like, yeah, Miles Warren never perfected cloning. He just came up with some kind of weird genetic virus that turns people into other people. So he never cloned people from scratch.
Okay.
So yeah, and so this supernatural being called Dreamweaver said, oh yeah, you're not Gwen Stacy, you're this other college student named Joyce Delaney. But
did Dreamweaver do that number on Sue Storm, or am I thinking of someone else? No, okay, that's someone else.
No, but I mean, I don't know if during the Evolutionary War they were just trying to say, oh yeah, there were never really clones, but
yeah.
Then they decided, I guess at this point, they wanted to do the clone saga, so they started unraveling this, because I think at some point coming up, like Peter even says to the Jackal, he's like, well, High Evolutionary said you didn't clone people, and he's like, and what, and I think the Jackal's like, well, what motive does the High Evolutionary have to tell you the truth?
Right. Well, he's not exactly the most upstanding citizen, is he? So
yes, basically, we're going to retcon this back.
Yeah.
So, however, her beloved Miles Warren found her and reminded her who she really was. Meanwhile, Spider-Man has broken into a safe in Warren Miles' lab. Yes, he switched his name around. There he discovers files that indicate not only was Warren Miles aware of the fact that he was a clone, and that the Gwen Stacy clone that is with him is the one that he was convinced was really a woman named Joyce Delaney, which I believe is also that original Gwen clone from, remember, way back in the beginning.
Mm.
As Warren Miles tells his wife that he has done everything to protect them from forces that would try and harm them, Parker learns that this version of Miles Warren was trying to develop a cure for the degeneration factor that affects all of the Jackal's clones. He is amazed to see what Miles Warren would have been capable of doing if he wasn't obsessed with destroying Spider-Man. That's when he discovers something in the notes about the Gwen Stacy clone and becomes concerned for her safety. He swings off to follow the Miles couple, able to track them thanks to a spider tracer he planted on their car earlier. At that moment, a new Green Goblin flies out into the night sky and begins looking for action. Well, as Miles drives toward a toll on the George Washington Bridge, he spots Spider-Man in his rearview mirror and tries to speed away. With other drivers put at risk of getting into a collision, the wall crawler quickly stops anyone from getting injured. With that, webbing, impact webbing.
Exterior web bags.
Down the gob.
Yes.
Couple of balls down the gob.
Meanwhile, in his panic to get away from Spider-Man, Warren crashes his car. Suddenly, the Green Goblin flies in and pulls Gwen from the car. The Goblin takes her atop the bridge and assures her that he will get to her husband next. Spotting the Goblin, the web-slinger thinks that he is attacking the clone of Gwen and swings up to save her. In a panic, Warren Miles climbs out of his car and pulls out a gun and begins shooting at both Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. As the clone of Gwen tries to dodge the bullets, all right. Forget figures in the shadows this issue. We're going to do the other trope. As she tries to dodge the bullets, history repeats itself when she trips over the edge of the bridge and begins to plummet to the water below. So this is This is at least the second time we've done this during the Clone Saga. However, this time Spider-Man is able to swing down and save the life of the clone. When he gets Gwen to safety, they witness Warren Miles' car fall into the water below. Spider-Man leaps in after them, but when the wall crawler pulls Warren out of the water, he is already dead and his body degenerates in the genetic goop.
Yeah, it looks like Toxie the Avenger in a microwave, but in the water. That's what it looks like.
I know. Spider-Man thinks about how much of a waste this all was, as this version of Miles Warren could have found the cure for the clone degeneration. When the wall crawler gets back up onto the bridge, there's no sign of the Gwen Stacy clone or the new Green Goblin. This entire encounter leaves Peter with more questions than answers, while elsewhere in the city, the Green Goblin returns to his home. He was actually trying to save Gwen and her husband and failed miserably. He pulls off his mask and tosses it aside, realizing that he has yet to learn a great deal about the responsibility needed to use his powers in the future.
Yeah, weird twist. The Green Goblin is trying to be a hero, just not quite well versed in it. I don't know.
Yeah, as they didn't reveal it yet, but yeah, it was Phil Urich, Ben Urich's nephew.
A very different Green Goblin. Do we know why he attacked Miles and Gwen?
Again, I mean, I don't know if he was attacking or, I mean, it seemed.
Well, he took her out of the car.
I don't know if he was.
Grabbed her.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like, oh hey, I don't know if he was trying to save them, but why take her to the top of the bridge other than to do the trope again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a bit. Look, if anything. I'd like to lead off with, I reckon, absolutely stellar art from this issue.
I really liked it too, yeah.
Oh, man. I love how like the artists all involved, the colorist as well, used that red, but they used a black, like similar to like they do with Daredevil. You know how they just it's essentially a red suit, but by having all those kind of details in black, it just it looks really good. And not only that, but the likes of, as you said, Black Cat and there's a Green Goblin splash as well. It's all really cool.
Oh yeah.
This new Green Goblin may not be effective as a hero, but he does look cool. He looks buff and a little bit modern for the, not just a guy in a little green suit, but and the board he's flying around on. Yeah,
pretty good. What is he like? Has he stolen a lot of like Osborn tech or something? How did Phil Urich get?
Yeah, I mean,
how did your namesake get it?
Whoa, wait, what? Oh, yes, Phil. But yeah, I mean, they get more into it in Green Goblin #1, but yeah, I forget. Phil Urich somehow stumbles on like one of the old Norman Osborn. I think it's either Norman or Harry's old warehouse full of like goblin stuff, and like the costume basically like gives him his powers. But yeah,
okay.
So he decides to try to be a hero until. I think the series lasted like 18 issues when during Onslaught his Sentinel like trashes the suit and it doesn't work anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I thought this issue was interesting, showing, I guess, Warren Miles, as he's called here, and Gwen, just what happens to these other clones. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one for the 120. I feel like we are like, we do this show monthly, and there's a certain flavor with this clone saga. Like I feel we're straight back into it, and there's I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I love how Peter Parker and Ben have switched positions, because that's good, because then we get to essentially see Peter Parker still, but we get the cool. Well, I think it's cool Scarlet Spider costume being used. But, I don't know. Just more clones. Everything's happening with clones.
Again.
The interesting thing is the Green Goblin. The Green Goblin's, that's a new element that's been introduced, so that's good. But, I guess we see the Jackal. We see him in the next issue that we cover, which is cool. But then again, even more questions are thrown up there to kind of keep it going, as you say, Phil.
Yeah. And the Green Goblin, we'll also see the Green Goblin in the next issue also.
Yeah, I like the way that they kind of, as you were saying, Ray, the switching of Ben being in jail and Peter wearing Ben's costume. Because, I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but there was probably some fan service being paid, because a lot of people might not have been fully on board with less of the original Peter Parker Spider-Man in their Spider-Man issues. So this is sort of finding a compromise almost in a way. And then, the next issue, he just gets a new Spider-Man costume. But for now, it's cool. And you still see the classic costume in the flashbacks near the end, the very last panel with Gwen walking down the street and the image of Spider-Man kind of looming over her. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. How about yourself, Phil? What are your thoughts on this issue?
Again, I like this issue. I mean, again, it's a lot of it's probably like nonsense to keep the storyline move, just keep going. But I mean, I like it. I remember picking this up, and it's just like, yeah, it's probably kind of silly, but I like the action and of course, I mean, I get it. It's just like, oh, we're doing the bridge thing again, but it was still kind of cool. And
I know you can't tell me that this was the lead up to that bridge thing again. I mean, as beautiful as it was to look at, with him swinging and the whole idea of getting it right this time, and playing off his mistakes or learning from his mistakes. Yeah, I don't know. For that to be the finale, like the main climax of this issue, I think it's a bit, oh, come on. So that's why I'm kind of thankful the Green Goblin kind of shows up at least, because then that's another element. I mean, I understand he's looking for Miles Warren, and again, you get that whole creepy vibe, like going through the history of him again, and just this thing of him being fixated with Gwen Stacy as student. Just like, just reminded of how kind of icky he can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like the original plan, because like Lilith and I mean, well, everyone will hear it next episode, but we covered the first appearance of the Punisher, and that's like before anyone knew who the Jackal was, and he just seemed like he wanted to take over organized crime in New York, and then once they reveal who he is, it's like, because I love Gwen Stacy and she didn't love me back, It's creepy.
It's a bit weird. Pretty cool to see the use of webbing, though, like you mentioned about on top of the roof. So again, some stuff that we don't typically see Spider-Man use webbing for, but I guess he's using the different canisters from the Scarlet Spider thing. So he can use, he makes that kind of bouncy, what is it? So it doesn't get electrified with the roof.
Like a web bag or something,
Web bag. And the same with our web, what do they call it? Web padding or something in between the cars. So that was pretty nifty. Yeah. A bit more on MJ about her pregnancy. That's always good to keep that ticking over. Always good to see the Black Cat in there, because she's, let's face it, she's quite popular now, isn't she? Mm-hmm. Like, Jed McKay's run has been great.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is like the second run of that book. Yeah. I know everyone on our team loves it. Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. Main takeaway, Green Goblin for me. I was glad that the next one, Spectacular, was Green Goblin centric.
Yes.
225 that we do. Yeah.
So, Spectacular Spider-Man 225 again, June 1995. Cover. That's a Scott McDaniel cover. You know him from Daredevil work and Nightwing work. Yeah.
Just a quick thing about the covers. We mentioned the difference between the newsstand and the hologram disc one. So the newsstand of Web of didn't have like a substitute for where the circular hologram on the cover was. It was just with the imagery of the cover. But the Spectacular Spider-Man, the newsstand one has a big Green Goblin flaming pumpkin just drawn, but then like there's also a hologram of it kinda in the fancy edition.
Yeah.
Just kind of noteworthy, I think.
Yeah, Marvel Unlimited shows, which is interesting. They show the holo disc option. You would have thought, as you said, Matt, that they would have probably put just like a drawn one. I mean, translate a lot better on digital, but anyway.
Right, yeah.
You could like spin those covers. What was it? I think, because I have the holo disc for this one, you have to kind of like spin the issue to like see the hologram move or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what?
It wasn't always perfect. Yeah.
No. You know what they should have done for the 90s covers? These bloody, what do you call them? Gimmicky covers. Remember back in the day in the 90s that those 3D drawings that you meant to just stare at and look like behind it? Did you ever get them? Did you ever?
I didn't know what you're talking about. Yeah, but
I wonder like for Mallrats, it's a schooner. Yeah.
It works though. Like it's amazing. Yeah.
I just wonder if they were like, there's some people who can't do that. It'd just be like, oh no, people aren't going to know what issue this is. They're not going to pick it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. That would have been very ambitious, but I think it was all about relaxing your eyes or your perception.
zoning out. We're just told to zone out, and you'd kind of get it.
I gotta go look, see if I can find some imagery of those online later. See if they work the same on a screen as it does
on the screen. Yeah, I'm not sure if it would.
Yeah.
Because did everybody watch Seinfeld? Yeah, Mr. Pitt couldn't see those things.
That's right.
But no, these holo discs. I mean, it's only like a little part of the cover. Like all the other '90s gimmicks usually covered like the whole cover. Like foil or whatever.
Maybe 95 saving money now. things are looking a little bleak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They spent a lot of money on the Prism cards.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, this one written by Tom DeFalco.
Oh, yeah.
Penciler Sal Buscema. Inker Ray's buddy Bill Sienkiewicz.
The Maestro.
The Maestro. Speaking of Seinfeld. Yeah, a lot of these other names I don't know, like colorist John Cleese, letterer Clem Robbins.
They were let go in the Purge when
maybe
the industry collapsed.
Wait, 1, 2, 3. Am I seeing this right? There's like 4 letterers.
Well, there's backup stories too, right?
True.
True. Yeah.
That's true.
It is supersized after all.
Yes, another supersized.
Although this story is, fairly long. It's the main story in it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on. Maybe it's because, the presence of Sal Buscema and DeFalco packing a lot in there since they're pretty well versed in the universe.
It was just a really nice package. It is.
Who is this? Scarlet Pimp. Ray, what did I jump into? Is that you, Chad?
Oh, jeez.
I can't tell. Is that you, Chad?
We are the Scarlet Pimps. That's
that fancy man in his tank top has declared it Scarlet Pimps. All right, so this one is even weirder. A costume man with a flaming hand. There's medication for that. Murders a homeless man named Sammy Skalek in the middle of an alleyway. Due to the poor lighting in the alleyway, eyewitnesses and officers can't make out who the killer is, but they believe it is the same lunatic that has been reported about in the Daily Bugle.
It's Iron Fist. Sorry.
Connor would hunt you down. Meanwhile, Peter Parker pays a visit to the grave of his friend Harry Osborn. He has come to talk to Harry about his feelings following his encounter with the new Green Goblin. With all the madness with clones in his life at the moment, Peter doesn't know what to make of this new goblin. Peter wonders if this is some trick Harry is playing on him from beyond the grave, or if Harry somehow cheated death. Not yet. Peter half expected to find Harry's grave freshly dug up and is relieved that it is not the case. After his visit, Peter puts on the Scarlet Spider costume he brought with him. He feels strange wearing it, but all of his own costumes have been destroyed. He thinks about how he has been recently arrested for murder and how he thought Ben was responsible until Raleigh offered to change places with him in prison. Ben did this so Peter could not only spend time with his pregnant wife Mary Jane, but also find the real killer. The only suspect that Peter can think of is the vigilante known as Kane. Finally, he has his work cut out for him since he is also trying to hunt down the Jackal, this new Green Goblin, as well as the original Gwen Stacy clone.
He's got a lot of work on
plenty on there.
Peter Parker is not the only one who's thinking about the new Green Goblin. In his secret lab, the Jackal was furious that this new Green Goblin was meddling in his plans. Since he can't deduce who the person is behind the Goblin mask, the Jackal decides to go and find out who this newcomer really is. While at the Daily Bugle, J. Jonah Jameson and Joe Robertson are in a private meeting. Seeing this, Ken Ellis asks Ben Urich what's going on. Ben tells him that they are arguing over how much coverage they should give Peter Parker's murder trial.
They're talking about how it's in all these other papers, which you don't hear mentioned that much in Spider lore. But you know what? This is, I think I might have brought this point up before, but this is around the time that the biggest court trial in U.S. history was going on, which is the O.J. Simpson trial, which had started in January of 95. This was in June, so it was still pretty much going strong, I think. And because I think I'm over a year. So I feel like that kind of real life gets sprinkled into this a little bit, Maybe.
Yeah,
I think
If the web shooter does not fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, wait. Oh, yeah, it did, because it ended in October.
Yeah,
so
he was acquitted in
95,
yeah.
Yeah. Started in January, ended in October.
No.
Yeah. I don't know how big a story it was in Australia.
Oh, at the time. No, it made the headlines. Yeah, we were following it. It was quite a
former American rules football player.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know much about him, but like we just heard, and he was in Naked Gun. So
yes, Nordberg.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, back to the summary.
I
wanted to bring it up because in the the summary doesn't go into it, but in the page they're flipping out about all the coverage in the different papers and stuff. I thought that was interesting. Also, it looks like the paper that he's holding up has no text aside from the headline in it.
I know.
Web of flies
in the juice trough. That has to be you, Chad, right?
It sounds like Chad.
Power of Chad.
It sounds like a duck, acts like a duck.
Oh, he called you a mother duck, Chad.
No, isn't that just like a
yeah?
It's a phrase. You got it. You got it, Ray. I got you.
For a minute there, I thought I misused it for some reason.
No. You didn't say if it looks like Gwen Stefani and acts like Gwen Stefani. It's got to be Gwen Stefani.
I was going to say, if it looks like a roux and it hops like a roux.
It's got to be a roux.
If it drops like a bear.
It's a drop bear.
Back at the Parker residence, Mary Jane has just finished up making a new Spider-Man costume for Peter. Oh, what's this, Chad? It fits the bill. She's trying to keep her mind off the concerns for her baby that have been raised when she agreed to be examined by Ben Reilly's friend sewer trainer. That's when Peter comes home and he is happy to see her. Oh, is he? However, his visit is going to be brief. With his trial coming up, he needs to find Kane and bring him to justice. Mary Jane insists that Peter needs to take a break and spend time with her. That's when a news report comes on about the homeless people being murdered in the city. Resigning to the fact that her husband is going to go back out into the city, she realizes that he isn't ignoring their problems, that he needs to keep moving in order to prevent himself from giving into the fear that he is rushing through his mind. As Peter leaves his home, he is unaware that he is being observed by the Jackal. Meanwhile, Mary Jane wishes she had someone she could talk to about everything that is going on in her life, when she suddenly remembers that she does. It's Ben Reilly.
I mean, seriously.
Ben.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's what clones are for, aren't they? If you can't make time with your hubby, just, talk to a clone.
So, are you saying
for good times, for bad times? That's what clones are for.
You beat me to it, you son of a bitch.
There's a lot of musical cues in this episode. Don't Stop. Dreamweaver and
Don't Stop.
Gwen Stefani,
Gwen Stefani, yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Meanwhile, Phil York puts on his Green Goblin costume. Upon putting on the Goblin mask, he is jolted with the energy that activates his powers. He then uses his glider to go out looking for a homeless person. Ooh.
Can I just say, Phil, as well? I quote here, and his muscles swell.
Yes. I like that they mentioned that in the panel, and his muscles swell.
I don't know if they physically grew because I think that was the 2-part thing. It was he got splashed with some I don't know if it was goblin juice or whatever, but that, and then putting on the costume activated super strength and stuff. So again, another Tom DeFalco thing. So I don't. Thank you, Chad.
What do you say?
The swole goblin. Yes, he's swole.
He's gobbling down the protein shakes and pumping some iron. Maybe they got a little swell on that way. I don't know.
He's drinking some green drink.
Yeah.
Hey.
Pumpkin's got some protein in it, I think. Pumpkin seeds. I don't know. I'm not in shit.
Pumpkin seeds.
Say looks for a homeless person. Finding an ideal candidate, he hovers over silently nearby when he is suddenly ambushed by Spider-Man. The wall crawler thinks that the Green Goblin is responsible for the death of the homeless, Put on the defensive, the Green Goblin tries to explain that he is innocent, but the web-slinger isn't willing to listen. Realizing that he is in over his head and he wants to avoid hurting Spider-Man with his lunatic laugh, yes, another one of his weapons, the Goblin flees. With his second encounter, Spider-Man is certain that this is not Harry Osborn and wonders who this inexperienced newcomer is and where his powers come from. Watching the battle is the Jackal, who is very interested in seeing the outcome of this battle. As Spider-Man chases the Goblin, the real killer, a costume criminal calling himself FireFist, selects another victim. Again, it's the 90s, kids.
Yeah.
Terrible.
FireFist. Hot Fingers would be a better name, perhaps, but I don't know.
But again, I mean, I think Ray unintentionally made the joke. It's like, so is Iron Fist going to sue him for trademark infringement?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, iron is forged in fire. You can't have Iron Fist without Fire Fist.
I think Danny Rand would make short work of this guy.
Oh,
let's say, yeah.
I mean, I think Power Pack would make short work of this guy.
Speedball.
Foggy
Nelson. At that moment, Mary Jane visits Ben Reilly in prison to ask for his advice on what to do about the baby. She wonders if she should get an abortion before it is too late. Yeah, she never.
Big issues here. Jeez.
I know. I was going to say she never. I don't think
big issues in this big issue.
I know, man. Ben surprises her by saying that he is pro-life. Well, yeah, because he's a clone. Yeah. However, he tells her that the choice is ultimately hers, but she should wait until she gets all the facts before making a decision. Yeah, that's heavy for a comic.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, just slot it in there, just like the one page.
I know.
Yeah.
Back in the alley, FireFist is ranting about how America has been infested with the weak, and that he does what he does to make this country great again.
Yeah, I don't know if that was written. If this summary was written in the last 4 or 5 years.
I know.
I mean, it is something that Bill Clinton said briefly. He didn't make a whole clothing line made in China that was about it, but yeah, it's interesting.
Hang on, and maybe it works the other way. Could Donald be a Spotty fan? So
I mean, he was a New Yorker, so
I mean, just
did they use that phrasing in the book? I can't. I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
Greatest nation on earth, on this earth. Yeah.
Oh, maybe this summary did that.
I think it's just a summary. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Chad's going nuts.
It's a bit of light trolling in the summary.
FireFist should go get that rash checked. And here's a good point. Isn't Ben Catholic as well? I don't know.
And you would think that, I mean, not to be too overly pessimistic about it, but you think that he would he could say he'd be a little bit more sympathetic if he's pro-life. He'd be like, okay, I understand not wanting to give birth to a baby when you can just whip one up like me, So.
Yeah, true. That as well.
Adopt a clone,
Exactly. He'd be championing those things, being a clone himself.
Yeah.
You ready for this, Ray? I don't think this is a shot at Ray. Chad said, we can't trust Bill Clinton. He signed off on Mark Spector's registry card.
Oh, that is true. That is true. He signed off on it. But that was from, God, I forgot his name now, that doctor.
Kevorkian?
No, the guy. Anyway, he was in issue 14. He kind of approved Mark's evaluation. Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
But I mean, Bill Clinton said a lot of things, Chad. There's always a mouthful.
We don't know even this might not be Chad. It might be a
power of Chad.
Like a clone of Chad.
Oh. See, Ray needs co-host, so he just starts cloning everybody.
That's it. And Connor, they are one in the same, basically.
Oh, the Connors, yeah, they just switch last names. Before FireFist can kill the homeless man, the Green Goblin arrives and pulls him away. Taking a cue from the Goblin, Spider-Man swings and attacks FireFist. The wall crawler is quickly put on the defensive when FireFist begins whipping fireballs with his flamethrower gauntlet. Wow.
Yeah, why does he need a flamethrower if he's got fire in his fists? Come on.
What a menace.
Performance anxiety? I don't know.
Couple of balls down the gob.
And they just mentioned that he's murdering homeless in the summary, but he's burning them, which is pretty outright savage.
Oh, yeah.
Too much.
Ultimately, FireFist damages the side of a building, burying Spider-Man alive. Seeing this, the Jackal is about to step in since he still has a need for Parker, but that's when the new Green Goblin comes to Spider-Man's aid. Seeing this, the Jackal is convinced that this new Goblin is not another Osborn. While back at the Daily Bugle, Joe Robertson continues to argue with Jameson about the murder trial. He points out that they are being scooped by every other paper in New York and they need to report on this. Otherwise, all the awards the Bugle has won for journalism will mean nothing. With that, he storms out of the office, leaving Jameson to think this over. Meanwhile, the Goblin keeps FireFist on the defensive, using his sonic laugh to confuse his foe. This gives Spider-Man time to dig himself out of the rubble, wondering why this new Goblin would risk his life to save Spider-Man. Boy, someone capitalized this. The wall crawler quickly knocks out FireFist, and while he is busy capitalized while wrapping up the killer for the police, the Green Goblin flees the scene. As he heads for home, the Goblin can't believe that he was unable to take down such a pathetic villain and briefly considers giving up on being a hero. Once Spider-Man...
It's pretty bad. So
it was on purpose. Once Spider-Man finishes wrapping up FireFist, his spider sense briefly goes off, finally detecting the presence of the Jackal. However, as the villain slips away and the warning subsides, the wall crawler dismisses it and heads for home. Soon the Jackal returns to his lab when he is joined by the Peter Parker clone. Well, the third Peter Parker clone. He is delighted because he has been waiting for this clone to arrive.
Another clone for the collection.
What's that third? Not Peter Parker, not Ben Reilly, not Kane, that other guy.
Oh, hang on. So this is the other one that... did we jump ahead in our previous episodes about that third clone? We know what he turns into, right?
Oh, yeah. He got destroyed, but he comes back. Yeah, well, remember, Screer grabbed them, so I don't know if he, resurrected him or something, or if the Jackal fixed them.
It's still chronologically after that event.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, he was a bit of a handful before, wasn't he?
Oh, well, thank you, Ray. Because Screer picked up his remains, yes.
Yeah. But I don't know, Matt, what do you reckon about this issue?
I think it's weird because I don't know, sometimes you go on the name value, you have a little high expectations when you see Tom DeFalco mentioned. But I think I enjoyed the Web of issue a little bit more in terms of even though they kind of went down the Gwen road, I kind of preferred the art to it a little bit. Although they did make some interesting choices in the near the end of this issue, and I guess in terms of art and setting up things to come. Not the last page, but the two before, where you have kind of mirror images of the Green Goblin get beaten up on himself, talking about how he's like, things can't get any worse, could they? As he's flying away. And then you had a very similar panel in the next page with Spider-Man saying, things can't be as bad as they seem, can they? And flying away and sort of setting up, obviously, things to come with the Jackal and possibly Kane and the trial and all that. So I thought there were some underrated creative choices made in this one. Not just the cover, including a drawn-on pumpkin in place of where no hologram could fit. But
it's like someone's taken something out and someone's just drawn a little smiley face on that.
Exactly. This was here.
Yeah.
And what's the weird theme of the Clone Saga, where it's just like homeless people just getting killed left and right? I mean, that Rich Gannon from a couple episodes back, and
not a good time to be homeless, like, you know, for many reasons, but around, you know, superheroes as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you could, when you see the sort of monologuing of FireFist, and he says, someone has to take a stand, America is no longer the greatest nation on earth, and he's blaming it on the homeless, but, I mean, that you could substitute them for immigrants or, you know, things like that, but maybe that just wasn't as prevalent or as popular and outspoken view to have as it is presently, unfortunately. So that's a possibility, and it's also how many feathers do you want to ruffle as a comic? You know, like, because there are people worldwide reading this, there are people who are immigrants reading this. Like, I don't know how many homeless people were reading this or advocating for the homeless to get offended by it. It was almost like a trope where it probably wouldn't be as used as much now, but it was, I don't want to say lazy, but just kind of an easy go-to back then.
Yeah, I think that's it, exactly. I think it's an easy go-to, and like little feathers, a little ruffling of feathers, you know. It certainly was. I mean, I was thinking of I'm thinking, Phil, of the 90s Flash TV show, and I remember there were these things about homeless experimentation, which you see time and time again in the 90s. So, yeah, I think that's certainly this instance here as well. Look, I thought the art was, I love that Stephen Butler stuff in Web of Spider-Man. There are instances here, and I do love Sal Buscema and Bill Sienkiewicz as well. There are some really great splashes here. Like, for me, my favourite's that Green Goblin reveal. So really darkly drawn. I think that's really good. I think overall, I'd agree with you, Matt. I think the Web of Spider-Man art-wise, I think is a lot more consistent and really cool to look at throughout. But I think in this issue, there are instances really, really inspired kind of artwork. Like, there's that bit with the Jackal's face with a bit of the red lighting, a close-up of him. It's almost like a Jay Lee for me, Phil. I think with that kind of etched, I don't know, inking style, and even that last page of the Jackal side on, but also there's a lot of FireFist, very 90s kind of use of like color and light. That just has a particular, I don't know, just a particular effect. It's really cool. I don't know. I kind of like this issue, Matt. Just in the fact that it is very FireFist. I just love to hate him. That's what this. You know? Yeah. It's deliciously bad, and I like that. It's got the same trope as well, a similar trope. We're talking about the Gwen Stacy bridge jump off. Over here again, we get Spider-Man under a pile of rubble. I mean,
yes, that's a throwback too. Yeah.
How many times has he kind of overcome his, you know, anxieties and busted himself out of rubble?
We just needed that scene of him lifting, you know, like, I can do it, and lifting that something heavy off of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot here. I mean, we talked about that very quick abortion kind of issue scene, you know, discussion. But yeah, and we get the old Spidey costume back as well. Last notes just on, you know, there are a fair few mouths agog, which is synonymous with Sal Buscema. So I was glad to see that. Although, Phil, no figure was punched, you know, flying backwards.
No Sal Buscema big red cross, yeah.
No, I'm looking for that. But anyway, but yeah, that's what I thought. How about yourself, Phil? What did you reckon about this issue?
I mean, I liked it, but yes, it was kind of like, I mean, I guess that's good. It's like a different flavor than that Web of Spider-Man one, but they both had their, you know, goods and bads, you know, 90s style. But yeah, I mean, a lot different story-wise, art-wise. I mean, not, again, I don't know, except for a few things, yeah, like the abortion thing. I mean, not too deep on a lot of stuff, but I mean, yeah, they were good, like action issues. They were very good 90s issues.
Yeah. I mean, we get also as well, just a point with the Green Goblin, you can really tell that that's not an Osborn. Like, you know, we know who it is. Yeah. But like, just the way that he talks when he goes through that restaurant and his thinking is not as confident and evil. So I like that aspect because you're kind of guessing, okay, this is not Harry or Norman. Like, you know, who is this guy? So Yeah.
And I was
nice little bit.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure, and I confirmed it on the internet, so you know it's true. Yes, this was, shockingly, this was the only appearance of FireFist, so.
Oh, my gosh. Well, could be coming back soon. You never know. Donny Cates loves to resurrect.
I'm surprised Slot didn't bring him back. Oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah, true.
Look at Chad pooping where he eats, man. He's like, Moon Knight couldn't even take the fly, so FireFist could be a problem, at least a bigger problem than in Deadpool 2.
What does he mean by, sorry, Chad, Deadpool 2?
Was there a FireFist?
The movie?
Oh, the kid in Deadpool 2, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The Fly. Yeah. Well, Moon Knight did beat Deadpool. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah.
Well, who hasn't beat Deadpool?
It's true.
All right. So,
true.
Any other thoughts on these issues, gentlemen?
No, I think, you know what? I think that I enjoyed them more with us being able to kind of dissect them a bit and discuss it because, you know, you raised some good points. On first viewing, you might have different thoughts to it, but yeah, I know. I like them both. There's a lot to pick apart and to discuss, which is always good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like them both as well. I think they were, and it is definitely fun to discuss with others because you just bounce off. You know, you can make light of a lot of the stuff now because you know we got the benefit of hindsight as well. Just those things like with the Goblin, I love the idea of that sonic laugh. I always get in my head the theme to the Wicked Witch in Wizard of Oz, you know, as she's going. So no, that's cool. The thing I was least interested in J. Jonah Jameson and Robbie Robertson just arguing nonstop about that. I mean, I know it's essential. Like I know that's an outcome of what's happened with Peter Parker and stuff. But yeah, I'm much more entertained with the likes of the Green Goblin, FireFist, you know, that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
How about you, Phil, as well? Did you like them both? Which would you like? Which do you prefer over?
I mean, I probably like just a little bit more the Web of Spider-Man. Just I like the art a little better, and I mean, it kind of sort of like continues the Clone Saga, even though it's like just basically keeping it going. But yeah, it's like you kind of take a break from the Clone. I mean, the Jackal's around, but you kind of take a break from the Clone Saga for the Spectacular Spider-Man one. Yeah.
Oh, and also just quickly on the Jackal, I'm still kind of off-put at those little remarks. You know how he's got those the fonts that really just crazy talk about, you know, he loves having pizza ordered to him or something. And I don't know. I know he's meant to be a wacky guy, but it doesn't seem to fit him because he just looks so dark and menacing. So yeah, I think there's a bit of a misstep with trying to get the characterization of him in that regards. But you know, hey, that's just me.
Yeah, that's what I said. I keep saying I feel so strongly that I think that maybe they were trying to give Spider-Man like a Joker for the 90s. Yeah.
But it doesn't work because he doesn't look like the Joker for one. So, you know, the Joker works because he's got that kind of grotesque look of like a Joker. Where this guy just looks like a demon. So you're looking at this badass, really scary looking person, and they're making these really juvenile comments. It's really weird. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to leave it on that note, but
what? Yeah.
Juvenile comments. Come on, that's what we do.
That's our bag, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for next month there's 5 Tuesdays, so kids, you're gonna get 4 episodes of me and Lilith talking the Punisher. Of course, we already did the first appearance, and then we're gonna do Amazing Spider-Man 201 and 202. Followed by Spectacular Spider-Man 140 through 143. I think Tombstone's in those.
Yes!
Followed by Amazing Spider-Man 330 and 331. But of course, I know what you're waiting on next month for this Scarlet Pimps. We're going to be covering the Trowel. The Trowel's here, kids. The Trowel of Peter Parker.
Oh. Matt, you better better get your best suit on, for the trial.
Juror number 5. Web of Spider-Man 126, Amazing Spider-Man 403, Spider-Man 60, and Spectacular Spider-Man 226.
Oh,
where the cover says the real Spider-Man revealed.
It's all happening, except does it then kind of get elongated again?
Yes. Oh Lord. Okay, Chad. Ready for this? Remember how I said, I thought the Jackal was like their attempt at a Joker? Mm-hmm. Are you saying he's the Jacker?
Oh, jeez.
or he's not a very good Joker, so he's the Hackle?
Because Joker, Jackal. Yeah, Chad, we get it. It just gets funnier when you have to explain it, Chad.
The Jacker, that sounds like Capes and Lunatics After Dark, really.
I know. Sounds like an alias for FireFist. Jeez. All right, kids. So, yes, send your thoughts on all that Punisher goodness. Yes, next month, the trial of Peter Parker. And then in April, I'm hoping to get some more Matt Kona appearances because we're going to have at least 2 Turner of the Century episodes for Spider-Man. And then there's one for Comic Capers. Yes. Turner of the Century.
Bit of a tea.
Yeah. What did you put up, Chad? I can't even tell what that is.
That's two beers clinking.
Cheers.
Ray. All right. So everyone, send your thoughts on any or all of that. capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember to follow Ultimate Spider-Cast on Facebook, Twitter. You can find links to all of our various social medias, link to this YouTube. Oh, go join Web of Spider-Man, our Facebook group, now at 1.1 thousand members.
Nice.
I know, that one blows. I think Batman's a little over 600. Yeah, Spider-Man's over 1,000.
Well, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Top tier.
That's right. So, yes, find links to everything we do and merchandise and Patreons and Ray's home phone number all in one place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And remember to support our sponsors, Tweaked Audio and Hunt a Killer. Use the code Southgate for a discount on both of those. Go pick up Pod Life, the book, now in digital and paperback. And when you do, go on Amazon. Use the link for Southgate Media Group right down there in the show notes. Help us support this show, the network, and that man in the shadows, Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom. You're weak sauce. Mark my words.
All right. Matt Kona, where can people find you? Talking OJ, talking Gwen Stefani.
I'm just living my best 90s life, sitting around at Matt Kona across all the social media platforms. And yeah, if you have any parenting tips, let me know. I'm soliciting you guys, everybody, anybody. Let me know. If you want to send me some gifts like Phil did, hey, check it out. tinyurl.com/Matt and Yael. No, that's it. I'm just panhandling on the internet. That's all I'm doing.
Send him diapers.
Yeah.
See you later, bunkies.
All right, Ray. I think you do podcasts, right? Where can people find this?
Yeah, sure. Look, the best way to contact me is on Twitter at RayRayPod, REYREY pod. So that covers everything from Into the Night, Last Sons of Krypton, To Know Her Is to Fear Her, and and of course, I'd love to chat about Scarlet Spider as well, and Gwen Stefani. Just keep them coming. So, so at RayRayPod, and that should lead you to everything else.
Look how big it is.
It's massive.
Into the Night. What is that? The Moon Knight podcast.
All capitalized.
Yes. And I shall be changing the Spider-Woman podcast soon.
Oh, to the?
Yes! Has to be.
Lilith will be pleased.
Out of the pouch. Boing.
All right, kitties. Thank you for joining us for another Pimp Fest. Again, in 1 month, the trial is here. We get an acquittal. You know there's going to be drama in the courtroom. Especially when King shows up. But until then, swing on back. Twip, 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 twip.
Twip, twip, twip.